the back corner when I'm not presenting.
Listening in.
And listen in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live here on Tuesday night.
Take a quick break, watch John Cruz's on the Tokyo rig.
Be a part of the show, get some chances to win some awesome prizes.
This Bass you go. You know, we didn't have that back then. And dude, it could just...
That text thread gives me so much energy. I mean, like I'm dialed.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live Tuesday night. Good to have you guys with us. It's been a crazy day in the world of professional fishing, and it's been springtime in my part of the country, and I'm sure where you live too. People are out, people are fishing. I hope you are. I have been doing a little bit myself, going to be doing a lot more as we got, you know, this warm weather sitting on us right now. But man, what a unbelievable treat to watch. Bill Lowen, friend of Bass University, friend of mine. We've known him for years. Man, just tugging on your heartstrings. He got into the winner's circle today on the Bassmaster Elites down on Lake Pickwick, and in a tremendously challenging set of conditions that he was dealing with down there. And man, he came through with flying colors, and he had to cash it all in today. Everything that had got him to that point in the tournament had it disappeared. He had to adjust. He had to adjust to conditions. We talk about it all the time at the Bass University. We have tons of seminars about how to adjust to various conditions in our catalog, and it's so important. And we watched it live today as Bill scrapped plan A, and he dug into his bag of tricks. He picked up his jig and he got after it. And not only did he caught a 20-pound bag and he won the tournament, but he caught a giant, the biggest fish of the week. And just so thrilled for him, for the Lowen family. And what an exciting thing that was to see. And we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how to adjust to conditions. How do you do it when the water rises so high like it did there, when the water falls dramatically like it did in that tournament, when the water temperature falls? What do you do when the water temperature is rising, when the water goes from clear to muddy? How do you make an adjustment to keep you catching them, to keep you around the fish, whether you're a tournament guy or you just want to catch fish consistently? The key to fishing in general is being able to adjust and react to whatever Mother Nature's bringing you. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So you guys watching us, let us know on the IM board. You want to zoom in and talk to the crew? We'd love to have you. Your IM questions, we're welcoming them as well. We want to talk to all of our subscribers, and we're going to be checking you guys out on Facebook and YouTube and all the other places that you're watching Bass University Live. So bring us your questions. Let me know about some maybe questions you have about conditions you're facing, or conditions that you faced in the past that were dramatic or extreme, that really challenged you to be able to catch fish consistently. That's what tonight's going to be all about, is how to adjust to conditions. And we're also, GDP is going to be with us here shortly, fresh off a solid elite performance. Again, that's back-to-back cuts he's made, top 50 cuts in the elites. Had a really strong tournament, finished with almost a 20-pound stringer down on Lake Pickwick on his last day of competition. I think he had 19 and change. I'm calling that 20 pounds all day long. And he did great, scored him, just being steady. I'm super psyched to talk to him about what happened on Pickwick, mainly because I happen to know that GDP is a tremendous tidal water fisherman. He's like us from around here. You have to fish the tides. You have to ebb and flow as the water comes up and goes down, make your adjustments. How did that experience help him on Pickwick? Was it able to help him? I'm very intrigued, very interested to his experience down there, because he's had another tremendous finish. So he's traveling. but he's going to be zooming in from the road. Appreciate that. So look for that to come. We are looking for some other surprises for you tonight, but we'll keep you posted. So get your questions ready and let us know, and we'll get you here on the Zoom call. And I see my buddy on the Zoom call. I see Professional Fish Head. You know, I know we can't stop talking about it. I've had to hang up the phone on you a couple times because we keep having the podcast before we're actually live on the air, man. We can't.
We're bad about that.
It was how could you not? How could you not be emotional and thrilled about what Bill did and the conditions that he faced? It was amazing.
Yeah, of course, we're really happy for Bill and his family. Just 14 years and finally getting that blue trophy. He's come so close. He's one of our most popular instructors, and there's a reason why. He's a great instructor.
That's a fact.
I mean, if you go look up Bill Lowen, I think you'll find 4 seminars on Bass U TV, and man, you want to watch every single one of them. You know, he's known for always having that limit. We got to always catch a limit, you know.
12-pound Lowen.
Oh, yeah.
12 pounds you to death.
And what a day to catch an 8-pounder, you know, especially when plan A is completely shot. And he recognized it so fast. You know, that's just super impressive to be able to see the seasoning of a pro who can recognize, I could stay with this all day, but I know it's going to burn me, because it probably has before. I'm still at the stage of my life where, man, those conditions are going to eat me alive. That's why I love the conversation tonight. I love the fact that we're going to talk about some dangerous current fishing. You know, we saw some crazy stuff out of Steve Kennedy.
Yes.
You know, the conditions themselves, if you followed it, you know, Pickwick going, you know, the water temperature, everything changed. And it's just captivating to a fish head like me. I couldn't stop watching it. Couldn't help but think our pal Ike and Ellie would have smashed them either, seeing them chewing a DT6 all day today.
That's right. And that was great. And, you know, the thing that we witnessed was just like you said, Chad Pipkins gambled to not adjust. Right. And that was a calculated gamble, in my opinion, to not adjust and to gamble that the things were going to roll his way. And you saw the other guys adjust. And this was not a tournament to stay put. This was a tournament where the adjustment won. And how many times is it going the other way, though, JK, where the guy that stays put and grinds out 5 wins? That happens too. So it's
and
very
how
difficult.
Do you know? The crazy thing is, how do you know, Pete, that those fish aren't going to – did Chad's fish go to the bank? Well, what if he would have slid back 400 yards, which I think he kept sliding back in the area trying to find a different seam. I think that's what he was probably doing there. But, I mean, gosh, how do you know when your fish might just go 400 yards away on you or just totally peace out?
And
it's captivating stuff, you know?
Captivating. Awesome to watch. And we're going to be talking about that tonight, guys. So very cool. And BTC, Riz, good to have we got off on time just about there, BTC.
Almost.
I threw it to you just as you put dinner in the mouth.
Yes, you did. We have breaking news, Pete.
What do we have?
I just heard back from Jennifer Lowen.
What?
We're sending them the Zoom link right now. And I believe we're going to have them on in a matter of moments. So let's rapidly go through our promotions here and get everybody ready. But Bill Lowen, coming up.
Oh, man, I'm so thrilled, guys. We were trying for Bill, and we were hopeful. And I know he's got so many calls and so many things going on. So, man, that's awesome. We're going to be talking to him tonight. Riz, let's quickly go down, the prizes and let's go through our process so we can get ready for Bill.
That's right. Pete, as always, we're going to be taking questions all night long from our subscribers. Out here on the table in front of me, you got a bunch of stuff laid out here. We have a Bass University official hoodie on the table tonight. That is going to be part of the grand prize, which will be going out to someone who wins a Ken Duke trivia question. Now, in that Bass University official gear pack, it's going to include a hoodie. It's going to include all 3 colors of our hats. It's going to have buffs, T-shirts, and some Bass University merchandise. So, guys, that's going to be a $125 Bass University official gear prize pack. That's going to be the grand prize at the end of the show. And you got to be a Bass U TV subscriber to get involved with that. If you're not signed up, now is the perfect time to join the program. You can sign up 50 days for free or save $50 off of your annual subscription to Bass U TV. That gets you unlimited access to over 700 bass fishing videos, all with one goal in mind, to help you catch more big bass. If you're over on Facebook, we also are going to be hooking you up as well. Like and share tonight's feed, and you're going to be entered in for a chance to win a Flambeau Fill Your Boat prize pack. That's going to be 6 Flambeau tackle boxes, including some Ike's Quotient Series tackle boxes, as you see here in front of me. So like and share tonight's feed if you're over on Facebook. Be entered in for a chance to win that prize. And with no further ado, Brian, I cannot wait to hear from Bill Lowen. This guy put on a clinic today as far as adjusting to conditions and making those big fish bite. So I'm stoked. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, dadgum right, Richard.
Outstanding. I'm super psyched. Well done, BTC. Got us off on time. You got us the champ. You're the man. And we are very excited. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
2 minutes and 5 seconds.
2 minutes and 5 seconds. We'll be back with Bill Lowen, Bass University Live.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
We're different. Some would say obsessed. There's no place on earth we'd rather be than right here, right now. Performance-driven gear, so you can fish longer, harder. Gill's Performance Fishing.
One thing that's happened that's probably advanced our electronics more so this year than anything that has in a while, C-Clear Power wiring harness. These units are designed to do a certain thing. If you're not getting enough power, enough wattage, enough voltage, they're not going to perform the way they're supposed to perform. C-Clear Power wiring harness fixes that problem. One of the great things about the C-Clear Power harness is it doesn't matter what brand of unit you have, it doesn't matter what kind of boat you got. The thing that you want from the C-Clear harness is power. C-Clear Power puts enough voltage to your units to make them maintain the performance that they're supposed to maintain. So if you're not seeing everything like you think you should see it, C-Clear Power will show it to you.
Why do you love casting fish?
As you should be. You deserve it.
I think we're live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Bass University Live. So excited that he made some time for us. Man, it was thrill to watch. It was so unbelievably awesome. We watched Bill Lowen crush it and dominate a tournament down in Lake Pickwick. He won the Elite, his first Elite. And I'm thrilled to death to have him with us, the champ, Bill Lowen.
Yeah! Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yes, the champ.
Thanks for having me.
Man, that was so awesome. You're so calm, cool demeanor. When you weighed in that 20-pound stringer, I have never seen you go so ballistic, Bill.
Well, you know what? That's not me. I'm typically not very loud, but you know what? That's like 14 years of pent up excitement. You know what I mean? Been close a lot of times, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think I had 20 pounds. You know, I thought I had 4 little swimmers and that big giant bite, and I thought I had about 18 or 19 at the most. And they were telling me I needed about 18.2 in the back to win, and I was about to puke all over back there.
Oh,
I did the math. I came up with the same figure. I'm like, he's got to have 18. And you put that fish in at 7 pounds on the bass track, or they did at 7.4 or something. And I'm like, man, if that fish is just 8.5 pounds, he's going to have enough, you know?
Right?
So I'm sure we were all doing the math, man. I was pulling so hard for you, but I was so thrilled to see it. I mean, it wasn't even a contest. It was way bigger than we thought.
It was awesome, to say the least.
And, you know, it brings, and Dave Mercer said this on stage, and it was so right, because we thought you won. We're from the Chesapeake up here, you know, that's our home body of water. And you had that tournament won, and with a solid stringer on the last day, and then Aaron came in with just a magical catch at the end to take the win. And it was awesome to see you do that. But this was your turn. This was your turn to have those heroics, man, to get that monster bass. I'm thrilled. I'm psyched it came around for you. It was amazing to watch you catch that giant.
Well, you know, like you always hear guys anglers talk about when it's your time to win, it's your time to win, you know, and I've won at home and you know what I mean, on the regionals and local level and all that. And I guess you really don't pay attention to it at home when you're fishing. Yeah, you're fishing a tournament, you won another tournament at home, but this is a totally different deal. You know what I mean? It's like when I caught that big fish, I felt like 1,000 pounds was lifted off my shoulders, but I also felt like, I don't know, it's hard to describe that feeling of, hey, this is going your way. You know what I mean? Figure out how to catch some more fish, put your head down. And I mean, I never stopped. I mean, I stayed with it. It was windy. It was blowing. I think I got my trolling motor batteries run down because I was trying to hold on them bluff ends. I mean, the river fell a tremendous amount, and I figured the more I could stay around deep water cover, whether that be laydowns or docks or whatever, man, I did everything I could do to catch a fish today, and I was just fortunate enough to get a big bite.
Man, you sure did. And we're going to talk about that, adjusting to conditions. And I just want to make a comment on that experience you had today, because I've heard it said before. I've won a few of the Opens and Toyota Series deals, and it feels like a freight train that's out of control, and you just have to let it ride, and it just comes your way. That's what it looked like for you today, you know, when you had to adjust.
It was exactly like that. You know, it was easy for me to adjust today because I've been fishing in my comfort zone all week. You know, yeah, my primary area got blowed out from the wind, but the river also fell 1.5 feet. So a lot of that wood was dry. But growing up on the Ohio River, I knew what I had to do. I just had to run around and find it. You know, so for me to be in my comfort zone, it lets you fish as best that you can, without a doubt.
You kept your composure. And I don't know how you did that. And
I don't know how I did either.
Because you showed up. You said it. Oh, the water's down. That tree back there, I caught a fish off the back of that root ball, you know, 2 days ago, and now it's out of the water. The waves have been muddied up, you know, and you seem so calm. You were like, okay, let's pack our bags. Plan B, right. Here we go. You know,
so fast too. He made that decision so fast comparatively, man. That's what I want to get inside your head about.
Well, the hardest thing to do is to bail out on your pattern. I mean, look, I catch 20 pounds every day off that island by 10 o'clock. And it's just, it's really hard to bail out on that type of deal. And I'll just be honest with you. I think in the past, I would have been really hesitant on bailing out on that. But I think being on a river system, being in flooded conditions, I mean, that's what I grew up fishing. So it was like, it's like second nature to me. So it wasn't like I was doing anything out of the ordinary, you know? And I think that's what made it possible for me to adjust so fast or just bail out on that situation.
Yeah, I guess that was definitely the case, because so easy for an angler when his primary stuff gets toasted to spin out mentally, like just to absolutely lose it. And but you were able to keep composure, and that allowed you to make those adjustments, I'm sure.
Yeah, like I said, I was very blessed for it to go down the way it went down.
Well, we're talking about adjusting the conditions, and you had some monumental conditions to adjust to, because not only, oh my God, I personally, what would have happened if they would have let you fish on the first 2 days when that water was coming up? What do you think would have played out, you know, in the areas you were fishing?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I was one of the guys that was thinking, hey, man, we probably need to cancel this deal and come back, you know?
Right.
So I had the area I was fishing in was Krieger Island or Kroger Island or whatever it's called. But, you know, that's a very popular area. It's a big grassy flat deal with some ridges and things on it. And that's where I planned to fish, out there in the middle of the lake, because the lake was down. I believe it was down a foot below winter pool. I've seen things on this lake that I've never seen in my life. So there was literally nothing in the water for me to throw at. So you can only imagine how I was feeling. But I found some areas out there in that grass that I thought that I'd be able to fish on. And that was my game plan. And then the floodwaters came in and the lake went up 6 or 7 foot. I don't know how high it went, but it was a bunch. So now we get 2 days of delay. So now we're basically going out there blind. So my thought laying in bed in the camper was, hey, look, them fish that were out there on them grass flats have got to get pushed to the side to get out of this current, because it's rocking. So I was very fortunate that the first morning when I rolled around the backside of that island and I pulled up to my first tree, it was either my first or second tree, I caught a 3 or 4 pounder. I don't remember what it was, but that was the clue that said, put your head down and go up through there. And that's exactly what I did. And I caught a really good limit off that. And then the water was in the reeds. And look, everything that I got bit on this week was dry, bone dry, and practice. Crazy. So when I went to the reeds, I was shocked. Actually, what keyed me in on the reed deal was there was one patch of reeds about as big as my boat on that island. And I caught a 4 or 5 pounder off of it, and another really good keeper. And I said, well, hell, if they're on them right there, they got to be on some others. So I went and ran some others and caught some quality fish the first 2 days. But as that water started to fall, that reed bite went away. And I just concentrated on that hard cover out there on the main river.
So it dropped 4 feet during the tournament, approximately. That's what
is that what they're saying?
That's what they were saying. Actually, Davey was on the bank at the takeoff site showing a bush that many guys had caught, you know, big fish off. Scott Martin and Kobe Krieger, they had caught fish off of that bush that was virtually high and dry today. So it was amazing. But JK, let me throw this to you, because everybody talked about the falling water, but you noticed the water temperature.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happened everywhere over the past weeks, like in the Southeast, is that rain and everything that came through was cold. I'm pretty sure that was the same way with Pickwick. Like, I heard that the water temperature had dropped as well from the time that those guys showed up right before practice till go time. Was that the case with the new water coming in? Was it colder?
You know, it didn't fall as much as we thought it would have. Which I was kind of shocked that it didn't. These fish, though, they're ready to go. And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen fish on a body of water or a river system go to the hill as fast as they did. I mean, it was almost like they were sitting there with their nose on the bank, waiting for it to go up. You know what? It reminded me of tidal fish. You know what I mean? They go so fast. It's exactly what it reminded me of. And then I got to thinking about it, and I said, you know what? This happens every single year. The big floods come, it goes up, and then, you know, it happens before winter or before they fill it up for summer pools, so they drop it back down. So this is nothing new to the fish. It just screws with us. You know what I mean? So they're used to it. You just got to figure out where they went. And fortunately, I was lucky enough to figure that out. But I'll be honest with you, when I rolled around the back of that island this morning, and a lot of the wood I was catching was a foot or two out of the water, I thought, man, this is not good. So I run up. I had to keep them honest. I run up through there, and I just hit the pieces of the wood that were sticking out the furthest, trying to see if I could get a bite. But it didn't take me very long, as you've seen, to know that that wasn't going to be the deal.
That's a veteran move, and it was awesome to see. And Riz, I want to throw it over to you. Do we have some IM questions, or do you have some questions for Bill?
Yeah, I actually I want to know, Bill, how much water was on those reeds that you were fishing, and also when you say reeds, like what kind of reeds were they? Were they like cattail? Were they Phragmite? Were they, how much water was on them, and what kind of reeds were they?
I'm not sure what kind of reeds they were. I just call them flat reeds because they're flat. I don't think it's a cattail reed though. So I can't answer that question. But just so you know, they were completely dry in practice. I mean, The only thing in the reeds was frogs and birds.
Like they would be on a tidal situation if it was low.
Yeah, like
low tide.
you would have to get out of your boat and walk up there in the mud if you wanted to go play in the reeds.
Right.
And they probably had 2 to 3 foot on them when the tournament started.
Nice.
And those fish, I mean, they went instantly with it. I mean, the very first day when I got them bites in the reeds, I was actually shocked to know that they went that fast. And there was quite a few times where I'd pitch in there and I'd catch the female and put her in the box and then make that exact same pitch and catch the male. So it was really cool to see them go up there that fast in that water temperature, getting ready to spawn. I mean, I caught fish with bloody tails, and every fish you catch looks like it's got an air hose, bloated up. So they're ready to go.
Do you suspect that it was because Pickwick has such a massive fish population? It seemed to have a really big, healthy fish population, because I've fished it in the past where whites are hard to come by,
Oh, yeah.
But this tournament, man, they seem to be competing so aggressively. Like there was a ton of fish there.
It is a really healthy fishery right now. I caught a fish, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, that was 15 1/4 inches long. And I would say it weighed 3 pounds on a 15-inch fish. Yep.
That's healthy. Wow. That's definitely a sign of a healthy fishery. And it was really cool to see both the smallmouth and the largemouth were coming in.
Absolutely.
Did you do any smallmouth? Any smallmouth make it into your bag?
I caught one. I think it committed suicide the first day. I had about 10 minutes left, so I run up there by the ramp and I pulled in behind a mooring sail, and I caught one that called out my smallest largemouth. But I came here, and you always hear about, go up behind the dam and blah 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 blah. So I went over to the tackle store and bought me some big swim bait heads and blah, blah, blah. And then I threw them in the box and said, you know what? I don't even know why you bought them, because you ain't going to do that. I mean, this was truly one of those events where I fished my style, and it was so cool for it to go down the way it went down.
Yeah.
Talk about your style. You were throwing I heard you say a 3/8 ounce jig. You weren't going heavy. Is that what you were using, and why were you using that?
Right there, look.
I see it.
See? Yeah. So the deal with that jig is that's my signature series jig from Lure Parts Online, my flipping jig.
Show it again, Bill.
What's that, bud?
Bring it back.
Bring it back. The jig. One back.
We need more. We need up close. Look, it's got ribs on the head.
See the tinsel.
Tinsel.
Yeah.
Tinsel, baby. Those Alabama guys love it.
Black and blue. What's the trailer you're rocking there?
That's just the old jig chunk trailer.
an old jig chunk trailer. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that's my flipping jig from Lure Parts Online. We got it from a 1/2 ounce all the way down to an 1/8 ounce, just because I'm a jig guy, And the deal for me is, when I'm out there fishing in that current, I don't want that jig to stick to the bottom. I want it to actually float through the current and look natural. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When shad and crawfish and whatever are getting washed through that stuff, that's what I want my jig to look like. So with a 3/8 ounce on 20-pound test, it'll literally float through that cover, and all you got to do is control the flow and, just kind of keep working it over the wood. You're not forcing it through the cover.
Right.
And by using a 3/8, that's what I was able to do all week.
That was pretty impressive, because that's unique. That's definitely a Bill Lowen technique. And by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but your classes at Bash University are some of our most viewed classes, period.
Well, it sounds like I need to be back in school.
Absolutely. Bill, you're a man of our people, man. You are a man of our people.
You connect with the people very well. You've got a very easy way about you that makes for an excellent teacher, and you have a great system. Whether your swim jig seminar was a fantastic hit at Bash University. And I noticed that, man, you weren't doing that in this event. You were more flipping and floating a jig, if I had to coin a term.
Absolutely. Yep.
That was the difference. Why no swim jig? They weren't responding to that, I guess.
Well, like I said, when we started, this thing was dry. All the cover was dry. And I had a fish chase my bait up out of the water on the second day. And I told my camera guy, I said, we're days away from the swim jig bite going down. So yesterday, when I went in on some reeds where I had some bites, I started seeing the bluegills and the bait fish and the gar. So you know what I did? I sat down, I tied on a black and blue swim jig, and I made a pass through there, and I had 2 big ones come up and try to get it, but it just wasn't right yet. We needed another 2 or 3 days, and then now they've jerked the water back down. So, as well as I do that the swim jig bite to me is one of the most fickle bites there are. And when that water starts falling, it typically doesn't work out very good. But man, I tried to make them eat it. I had 2 big ones try to get it yesterday, and I missed both of them. So yeah, I stuck it back in the box and picked up my flipping jig.
Smart man, right? And flipped right into the winner's circle. Riz, right. Let me throw it back to you.
All right, Bill. So theoretically, Dan wants to know, in your mind, what do you think made the fish that you were depending on for 3 days move or turn off? And at what point did you know that you needed to make an adjustment?
Well, the biggest deal that made those fish turn off was the falling water. Like I said, that water fell at least 2 foot on that wood cover. And what else that I had going on there is that island was red clay. And the wind blew really hard last night out of the southeast, which was lapping right on that island. So it also muddied it up. So I had 2 things working against me there. One was the muddy water and the falling water. And, typically on that falling water, they'll slide out to the ends of those trees. Well, where those trees did have 4 foot of water in them, now they only had 1.5 feet, 2 foot. And then you throw mud on top of that. It's just not a very good scenario. So that's why I bailed and went and did. I did what I felt like typically for me on the Ohio River, when water's falling, those fish go to the deepest piece of cover that they can get to, or gravitate to the deeper areas. And that's what I did. Concentrated on bluff swings and deeper docks and things like that had that 4 or 5 foot of water left on them.
Excellent adjustment. Let me follow up that. How long did it take you to make that call? 15 minutes, 30 minutes?
We pulled up, we launched at 7. It was a 15-minute run. I pulled in there. I hit about 8 tree ends and knew it wasn't right. So, 30 minutes at the most, probably. Brandon Polinick was fishing the top side of the island, and he said when he saw me at the top of the island already, he knew something was bad wrong. And then he said he seen me leave, and he was like, well, I guess they ain't biting on the island.
30 minutes.
It wasn't very long at all.
No, 30 minutes is lightning quick on making a decision of that magnitude, for sure. But I was super fast. Riz, let's throw it back to the IM board.
Awesome. And guys, just so you know, if you're watching over on Facebook and you want to get your questions answered on the show tonight, get signed up right now, 50 days for free with the Bash University 50 for 50 deal. Head over to bashu.tv and join the #1 program in bass fishing. Jack Little would like to know, Bill, how much did you rely on your electronics compared to physically seeing the structure that you were fishing?
You know, I got a dedicated unit this year that I'm running 360 on that never gets turned off. I think so many people think when we think of our electronics is that, man, we got to be fishing deep or we got to be fishing offshore. But for a shallow water angler that doesn't have 360 on his boat, I think he's truly missing out, because you can just leave that run. And even in 2 or 3 foot of water, you can see isolated pieces of wood out there that you typically may not ever see, or maybe make a cast to. And I believe it was either the second day or the third day. I saw a lay down log out there in about 4 foot of water on my 360, and I actually caught a keeper fish off of it. It's a fish that I never would have caught had I not had my 360 running. So like I said, I'd literally have a dedicated unit this year just to run my 360 that'll probably never, ever get turned off. I mean, because look, if you can catch 1 fish per day off of that 360, then it's worth its weight in gold.
It absolutely is. Shout out to Humminbird 360. Do you do anything with your 360? Do you when you're in that shallow water, do you set the range way down? Do you make any adjustments?
Here's what I do is I try to set it to get the clearest picture that I can. You know, which we all want it to look like a TV, but that's not realistically what's going to happen. Okay. So the next thing I'll do, we all know that 360 reads or gives you the best picture almost when you're sitting still. Okay. You know, when you're on the trolling motor, that's not realistic. So what I do is I turn up my speed on my ring. So up to like probably a 5 or a 6. So I get it humping a little bit faster. Yeah, you're not going to get a clear picture, but you're definitely going to know that you got something there. But I can keep moving at my constant speed of fishing. You know what I'm saying? Where I don't have to worry about slowing down. So simply by turning that speed up, you'll be able to get, it's not going to be 100% clear picture. It's going to be like 75 or 80, but you're definitely going to be able to know it's a stump, it's a rock, it's a weed edge, it's a lay down. So that's a really cool tip there, that just turn that speed up a little bit and just fish like you normally would.
Bill, what color palette do you like for 360?
Just the standard color, you know, that yellowy orange. I don't know which number that is, but I try not to get too wrapped up in all that. But typically for me, it's that yellowy orangish color looking one that I like.
How far do you have it set above?
I set it at 50 feet because I feel like 50 feet is a realistic cast or pitch. Okay. And I like to make that pitch when it's about 25 feet in the rings. You know what I mean? Because that's, you know, that's a typical pitch.
Right.
I've never been one of them guys that wants to get my line way stretched out there. I mean, I want to be hand-to-hand combat with them.
Right.
That's right.
How about as far as where you have your 360 like physically set on your trolling motor? Like how far above your prop line are you?
I try to keep it as close as I can to the trolling motor. You know me, I'm shallow all the time, so I got to be real careful with that so I don't beat the transducer off the boat.
Right.
But I try to get it down in the water as far as I can. I feel like the farther you can get it in the water, the better picture you're going to get. So there's like that happy medium. Like I got it set right now. Like if I walk to the back of the boat, it'll actually come up out of the water. And it's still reading a really good picture. So that just tells you how shallow it is.
Okay.
Excellent. I don't know what I did before my 360. I'm just, you know, so upset. It took me too long to get into a 360 unit. I see stuff now that I can't believe is there. So it's
right. Well, it makes it so nice to be able to follow weed lines and just like I said, if you catch one fish off of a stump or a rock that you had no idea was there, it's worth its weight in gold.
Heck yeah. Well, speaking of which, you got a text message that's worth its weight in gold from one of the greatest anglers to ever flip a jig. And wishing you good luck. That is priceless. That needs to be like printed out and framed and hung next to your blue trophy, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but Denny Brower and I were practice partners back in the day before he retired. And you know how important it is to have a really good practice partner. You know, Matt Herron and I are practice partners now, but you know, when you got a practice partner that fishes just like you do, you can't put a price on that either. I mean, because you can turn 3 days of practices into 6 because you can go to places sight unseen, knowing that your styles are so much alike, that you can go in there and know that you can probably catch a fish. So that's huge. So yeah, he sent me a text message that said, wish I was there, or how did it read? It read, brings back a lot of memories. Wish I was there. Go catch me a 7-pounder on a black and blue jig. And it's so crazy. I mean, Denny Brower made a black and blue jig famous. You know what I mean? I caught every fish I caught this week on a black and blue jig, and to get that text message from him last night was really cool. But what was even cooler than that was the dock before I caught that big one. That literally was in my head thinking, man, Denny sent me a message last night to catch a big one. And sure enough, the next dock, I catch that 8, whatever it was. And I mean, I'm sure y'all were watching and saw me go crazy. And I mean, like I said before, man, that's 14 years of everything coming out, you know?
No kidding. And we could see it. I was there with you. I could not contain myself. I'm watching this go down and I'm pacing around. I can't look at the screen. I'm like, did he lose it? You know, did it break off? You know, oh my God, it's going to jump and get off. I mean, I think everybody watching, our hearts were in our throat watching you land that fish. It's thrilling when you did.
Yeah, it was awesome. I felt like I was going to puke all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. She just come up there. She jumped one time and she come up there and opened her mouth up. And I mean,
she did.
What more can you ask for?
That was a great celebration. And, that was a great, thing that, Denny did. He sent that out. That says a lot about him pulling for you. What, all those years you spent with him, how did he influence your fishing? How did he help you or guide you? Can you credit him for, helping you in some areas?
I mean, I can remember being young, standing on the banks of the Ohio River at Muddy Creek that I could walk to from my house, with a Zebco 33 saying, I want to be like Denny Brower someday. You know what I mean? And to become practice partners and really good friends with him is, it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? And he made a comment to me years ago that over the last couple years is finally sunk in. I mean, sometimes fishermen are hard-headed, you know what I mean? But he made a comment to me that, man, you catch a lot of fish, okay, fishing the way that I fish, little baits, downsized. I mean, you hear me talk about that all the time, little compact spinner baits and things like that. He said, but he said, you will, you'll win more tournaments and you'll catch bigger fish if you start fishing with bigger baits. And that kind of sunk into me, like finally a couple years ago when I've started, really flipping bigger jigs and things like that. And I can't argue with him. He's right. I mean, yeah, you're going to get a ton of bites on a 5/16 ounce jig or a 1/4 ounce, but man, when you take it up to that next level and go with that big bulky profile, you don't get as many bites, but the bites you get are typically really big.
Man, that sounds right. Riz, that sounds like it's right up your alley.
We were talking about this the other night in our little Bashu group text about the jig compared to the soft plastic, and JK actually just won himself a BFL flipping around a big jig. Had a player in that, and to hear it from Bill Lowen, it's that, and it came from Denny Brower directly. That's definitely going to be something that sinks in. So I actually have a question on the board that has to do with that, and it's from I lost his name here, but the question is, what is your go-to bait in cold, muddy water conditions, similar to what you guys were dealing with, colder in perspective, but if it wasn't a jig, what would be some other options that you would look for in those scenarios that you had this past week?
Cold, muddy water is always typically a recipe for disaster. You know what I mean? So when we say cold, muddy water, I mean, that could be a huge spectrum. My favorite thing to do in cold, muddy water is run somewhere where it's cleaner. and try to find a little bit cleaner water, you know. But cold water with a little bit of stain to it doesn't bother me at all. And if I had to pick a bait besides a jig and cold stained water, would be a flat-sided balsa bait. A PH Custom Lures balsa bait. I have a Signature Series flat bait called a $1 bill that it's got that tight wiggle, but it's got a little bit more thump. And it's a bait that you can put down there and crawl really slow across the rocks. Those would be my two choices for cold water, would be a flat-sided balsa bait or a jig.
Excellent. Cold, muddy water is definitely a very, very challenging situation. And, you know, you've been challenged. I think you've been an elite angler for 14 years.
Yeah, I believe this is my 14th year, full time.
And I don't even know how to phrase this question, but what does this win mean to you?
You know, I guess it just kind of solidifies your career. You know what I mean? I still, to this day, and I know this is going to sound really strange, but don't feel like a professional fisherman, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? I feel like I put my pants on the same as everybody else does every day. I'm going to work. I'm getting to make a living, doing what I love to do. So this just kind of, man, you've finally made it. You know what I mean? That just puts you over the edge, and it's been a long time coming.
It puts you in a rare group, and you
absolutely.
You definitely earned it. And I saw you fist bump with your son, who you said he was pushing you to get that blue trophy. So it had to be a thrill to be able to deliver that for him and the family. You
know, last night in the camper, he says, "Have you ever done this good since I've been born?" You know? So, yeah, you know, it's like, I think I honestly wanted it more for them than myself. I mean, yeah, I wanted it for myself, but you know what? The stuff that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees, and it's a family deal for us. You know what I mean? The kids are homeschooled. We travel in a camper all year long. Jennifer handles everything, you know, and lets me go focus and do what I do out there. So even though it's a huge win for me, it's just as huge for them as well.
Well, that's congratulations. And I know you were sitting outside the restaurant. I could see the flags. That's like the Texas Roadhouse?
Texas Roadhouse, man.
Yeah. You got to tell, what's the champion's dinner look like?
It's hard to say yet. Probably chicken fingers and French fries. I can guarantee you there's going to be meat with a bone in it, and it's hard telling what else.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I just can't help but wish you congratulations, and we're all thrilled to watch it. And man, I know we have another Bass University event coming up, and we're certainly going to reach out to you. We need to get you back now. My goodness, after this huge win, we've got to talk about adjusting to conditions, and you got to try to teach people how to move as fast and efficiently as you did.
The price went up already.
Yeah, we need to get pre-tournament win prices, Bill. Oh, but hey, buddy, I really appreciate you coming, hanging out with us, man. We're gonna let you roll. Thanks so much for making time. And guys, you can see Bill Lowen's stuff on Bass U TV, and we'll be cheering for you at the next event, buddy. Congratulations,
guys.
champ.
Well, hey, thanks. Yes. Thanks for having me, and I'm glad I could get you guys in.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making time.
Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you,
All right,
Bill.
everybody, have a good night.
Thank your wife for us too for making it happen.
All right, thank you.
All right, man. What a monster win, man. It's just it was tremendous. And we've got so much great Lowen content over at Bass U TV.
Oh yeah.
What we have a swim jig content, JK. What else?
Yeah, we've got swim jig. We've got and that's been a great one. We've got always catch a limit, because of course he was known for those small baits like he's talking about, and fishing that style to always come in with a limit. we also have one I'm going to allude to later in the show. And I am forgetting the fourth one, but we've got 4 seminars from Lowen.
That always catch a limit
I can't think
seminar.
of it.
I remember being so excited and listening to that seminar. And honestly, I went out and I purchased a lot of Bill Lowen's jigs and spinner baits because they're so, especially for a lot of the fishing, some of the places that we fish the Delaware River around here a lot. And it seems like you're always successful with a slightly downsized presentation on that particular body of water. And there's a few others that I've fished around and, but you know, that's Bill's influence, you know, and that's what they used to call him, Mr. 12 pounds. He'll just 12 pounds you to death, you know, make every classic, make checks.
He even says
every
that.
time.
Yeah, he does in that seminar. It's the other one's the shallow cranking seminar. He did a shallow cranking seminar for us, and so there'll be another one that I talk about later. But yeah, Bill's seminars are great. He's great. One of just the teaching is easy for Bill. You know, it really is. He's a great instructor.
He agreed. He has a great way to communicate a message. And BTC, let me know when GDP is ready to come on, and we'll prepare for him next. We're going to take a break.
Yeah, we're going to take a break first. Greg's on his way home, and he's going to pull over. I'll give him the signal. I'll flag him over. He's going to pull over and give us a few minutes.
Nice.
And whatever else.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Bill, you know, relating to the tidal water influence. The Pickwick behaved just like a tidal water. He said that a few times. Yeah. And it was interesting also to talk to him about shallow crank, that flat side, and that was what Kobe Krieger rode to the front of the line in this tournament for 2 straight days. He was using a flat side on a spinning rod, and just cranking riprap near the takeoff, and you know, he was well in the lead, just barely missing the cut. He finished, I think, 11th place in the tournament. So
that's right, he did. Yeah. Yep.
Shout out to Kobe Krieger.
Yeah, man, he had a good event. That was a very, very fun event to follow.
Yeah,
I had a blast, man. Things just constantly changing, and guys making adjustments, and a lot of big fish caught.
Yep.
That was awesome.
And you had largemouth and smallmouth guys fishing so differently, you know, guys going up into that spillway that looked so treacherous, you know. That looked crazy.
Yeah, I thought I honestly thought those smallmouth were going to win, and they would have had it not been for Bill to make the winning adjustment and catch an 8-pounder today. I mean, those smallmouth came on strong at the end.
They sure did. I get, you know, that heavy flow allowed that to happen with them. I imagine, you know, that was the recipe for success. There was just absolutely so much current, you know. But I watched those guys struggle, like even Steve Kennedy. Did you see the one that he broke off?
Oh gosh, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
it makes me sick.
He had that.
He would have had another 20-pound day. You know, he had 20 pounds on the second day and today.
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday he only had 17 and a half, I think. And that fish was at least a 3-pound call.
Yeah. He was in the current. The fish struck. It wrapped him around, I guess, the rock or tree or something, and the fish was downstream. He was able to free the line. That went through that whole process, and then the fish breaks off at the boat. Man, that was just that was heartbreaking, and that's what I was worried. You know, and you know the other one, and God bless him, Brian Schmidt. Did you see what happened to him?
I heard he tried to boat flip like a 5 or 6 pounder.
It's this giant 5 or 6
successful.
5 or 6 pounder he had it completely over the height of the gunnel of the boat, and was just starting to change the trajectory of that fish when the fish freaked out through the jig, and the cameraman, great camera work over there, caught the whole thing in action. Caught Brian's heart breaking. All of our hearts broke watching that happen.
Yeah, Brian New tried to boat flip a 4 on 6 or 8 pound test.
Really? I did not see that one.
It might have been day 2.
Brian New, you're Superman, bro, but you're not that super. 6 pound test? If that's true, come on, guys. Who's boat flipping 4 pounders? on 6 pound.
Well,
I want to
made a
hear it.
mistake.
I think,
Yeah, but I just want to know, has anybody succeeded in that?
you know, I've seen crazy stuff like that happen before, and you could actually pull that off if the
Not in a
fish's
tournament,
momentum is going your way.
Yeah.
But most often that happens when you underestimate the size of the fish, right? You're looking at that fish and you're like, he's a 2.5 pounder, but like Bill said, those fish bellies were so stuffed that they were extra heavy, and that probably hurt Brian in the moment.
Well, Brian's still having a stellar rookie season. I think he's got to be in the top 2 or 3 for the AOI right now. Or it's early, but man, what a start to a professional career.
Yeah.
It really is, and he's up there in the top 2 or 3. You're right. I saw Patrick Walters, and I didn't see after today, but the preliminary stuff has Patrick Walters leading.
Was number 2.
Is that right?
Yeah, before today.
Let's look it up right now.
Oh.
Yeah, Fighter's up to 2. Brian News at 5. Leading
nice.
the Rookie of the Year race. You got Patrick Walters with a 18-point lead. Way to go, P-Dub. And if you want to see Patrick Walters, you know, we saw some spinnerbait catches at Pickwick. Like he predicted in that seminar, we've got Patrick Walters on spinnerbaits for kicker-sized bass, just released to Bass U TV this past Thursday.
Very nice.
Hey guys, let's I got GDP in the queue. Let's hit this commercial break real quick, and come right back to our man Greg De Palma.
Awesome. Look forward to it. We'll be right back after this.
Moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse. Everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail.
Happens every time.
The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter.
Not good.
Motor oil.
Gotta keep the rust off all these baits.
WD-40.
Gotta keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau tackle storage systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
With those words, you already are.
We are
We
live.
already are. We already are live.
Here we go.
And begin.
Welcome back, everybody. What a great interview. Congratulations again to Bill. And man, I appreciate this. GDP, our own GDP, is traveling, is with us, pulled off to talk to us, man. It's I appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us, man.
You guys know I love being part of the podcast always.
Well, we were talking. You fished all week. You're driving 12 hours. We're talking about Wawa coffee. We all love Wawa coffee. But I found when I'm traveling the country, the most consistent coffee that I can get that's reasonable is at McDonald's. Believe it or not.
You know what's weird? I mean, I drink a lot of coffee, but McDonald's coffees give me headaches.
Really?
Yeah, I've tried it. It doesn't work for me.
There goes our opportunity to get a sponsorship from McDonald's.
Thanks, Greg. Get it anyway, so I work.
McDonald's commercials give me headaches.
Yeah. Why not throw Coca-Cola under the bus while you're at it, GDP? They're all at the, no, but I found that works for me, and but you'll find one, I hope. But I'm man, what a great deal.
Good luck, Greg.
Hold on, cuts. Greg, are you searching for coffee right now?
No, I'm getting closer to Maryland, so I can almost smell Wawa from here.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, if you're in North Carolina or anywhere kind of in that region, good luck. Because when I was there a couple weeks ago, it took me 3 gas stations to find somewhere that had coffee. Yeah. It was unbelievable. Well, everywhere had Mountain Dew, but no coffee. They're like, we'll give you Mountain Dew in a styrofoam cup. But
I used to carry a Keurig with me with Wawa K-Cups, but man, it's just not the same. They know what they're doing because they know that if you walk into a store, it's going to taste different. So that's why they do it like they do with the K-Cups. It's not the same at all.
The hunt for good coffee. That's our burden
key,
across the bear for being from the north.
How do you drink your coffee, Greg?
I do not drink it black, Brian. I drink it with a lot of cream, a lot of sugar. I'm from South Jersey. It's what we do.
I drink it black with cream.
You're from North Jersey. You're from North Jersey.
Black with cream.
Hey.
That's how I roll, bro.
I'm with you, man. Anyway. Quick and easy.
No sugar.
That's it.
No cream, no sugar. But it's all good to me. And your tournament performances were great, man. You made the cut in 2 weeks in a row, but this one's gotta feel good, man, because you not only made it, but you made it with authority, dropping a 19-pound bag on the scales on the last day. That's just gotta make you feel good, fill you with confidence right now.
It's just, this was one event that I can tell you that was by the seam of my pants as far as fishing goes. You obviously know about all the conditions we had. This was a classical, the Bass University, what you should look for, what you should do. And that's exactly what I did during this tournament, because every single thing that I had in practice, like a lot of the guys, was completely gone or thrown out the window.
Well, tell us about that. What happened? What was your practice like, and what was the first day of the tournament? How did the adjustments go?
So practice was decent. So the first day of practice, I got there. I probably, had around 20 or 25 bites easily. And, I had some good ones in the mix. What I did was when I first put the boat in the water, I started the graph kind of like, I don't want to say deep, but in that 12 to 15, mark, trying to find some fish that are staging on the outside of a lot of the creeks, inside of creeks. So, for example, there's one creek called Bear Creek on this body of water, giant creek system that runs all the way back, but it's got a lot of creek arms. So I was in the center of Bear Creek looking around, trying to find fish. I literally did it for about a half hour, and I don't mind graphing. It's not about that. It's just, I had a feeling in my head. I was like, what are you doing? I said, it's getting warm. The water's, at the very beginning, the water was coming up a little bit. The water's coming up. These fish want to be in the backs, want to head to the banks. So the very first thing I did after that was look on my graph and look for any kind of spawning pockets I could possibly find. I literally rolled to the very first spawning pocket where it goes in, and it was every cast where I caught fish on a rod trap. I was like, okay, there's a good clue right there. So it was like basically the secondary points coming into the creeks, leading back. And then from there, I just kept expanding on it, and I started working my way all the way to the back, and the fish were already there. Some of the fish were still working their way, but that was kind of the deal, is where the fish were secondary points all the way to the spawning pocket. So 2/3 to the very back. That was kind of the deal. So I really tried to, from there, not knowing the body of water at all, I just tried to find as many areas as I could just like that. every time I found one, it was the same scenario. There was fish there, fish all the way back to the flats, that were in the back. And if it had any kind of timber in the back, it was just bonus because, a lot of the water was sucked out at this point. It was still a winter pool, but there were some areas that had big flats that had big giant stump rows on them. Every stump row, I had my jig hook bent over every stump row, literally, and there'd be 20 stumps. I'd flip the jig to it and swim a fish off, shake it off. It was ridiculous. And I was like, oh man, this is going to go down. But being on the Tennessee Rivers thing on the app, you can look ahead, and I started to see the trend of the water was going to start going up. And I was like, man, in my mind, I thought it was going to get better and better. But as we got closer to the tournament, I think by Tuesday, it was showing like 3 feet or 4 feet higher. I was like, holy crap, that's like a tremendous amount of water. That's just fluctuation coming in, from the other river systems. Then we had that giant storm, and that's a whole different thing. That's where all the mud came from. So everything started to flood. All that muddy water started to come in. It was actually kind of a blessing we had off them 2 days because it allowed everything kind of to get up, but it also allowed, I feel like, the fish to kind of acclimate themselves to all that muddy water coming in, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So besides that, on them 2 days off, I'm not a dummy. I got in my truck and I drove around and I tried to look at all the areas. At one point I was driving off-road, driving down the steep hill, getting to the bottom to see the lake. And I drove around, and the majority of the stuff that I had found in practice completely turned into chocolate milk to the point where like zero visibility. And I'm sure you saw in the tournament, I mean, I watched a lot of it today too. A lot of the areas the guys were fishing, the water was dirty, but it still had visibility of a foot to a foot and a half. So it started to clean really, really good. But a lot of them back pockets were still bringing water in from the rain we had. We had a tremendous amount of rain, still bringing in. So the last third of all them pockets were completely blown out. I don't really know if nobody in the top 10 cut was fishing way back in a pocket, were they? You guys remember?
No, it's interesting that you say that, because as you're explaining that to us, I realized that the majority of the people that did well were all kind of related to the main river flow.
Yep. Yes, exactly. So day one of the tournament, there was about one section of this one creek called Indian that still had some clean water in it. When I drove there and looked at it the day before, and I'm like, well, a lot of them fish are probably going to pull out or be in the mud line or out to the main. And I'm like, I could probably still run here and catch them. So I ran about 40 miles. I got all the way down there, day one of the event. When I got down there, I literally came in on pad and I stopped, and I'm like, holy crap, this completely turned to all mud all the way to the main river.
Oh.
So I never even threw a cast in there. I just want to back up real quick too and say this, because watching live today, I had no idea where Bill Lowen did most of his damage, and it's crazy where he did it all at. So the left side of that Kroger Island, just off of that, about 100 yards, there's not more than 100 yards, but 100 yards, there was the best grass line on that entire flat. I went over that grass line the second day of practice. It's kind of like the Upper Bay. It's like a giant flat. It's got grass everywhere, but the grass was really, really sparse on this flat. And I think the reason why is because about 2 weeks prior to our tournament getting here, they had all that water come down and had up to 200, whatever you call the flow. It was really cranking. So I think a lot of that grass got ripped out. But it's really weird. I almost feel like the more and more that I do this, you can almost just, even though you can't physically see into the water, you can just physically see with your eyes, like where you think a lot of the stuff should be. So on that Kroger Island, towards the dam side of it, there's kind of a little hook in the island. So there is kind of a back eddy, if you will, on all them trees that Lowen was flipping that were there. So just off of that point, almost 100 yards, the island is really long. So you figure if you got a little tip on the point real far away, that eddy is going to expand and go out even further past the island. Well, just off of that island, like I said, about 100 yards was grass that was 1.5 to 2 feet tall, and it was a solid line all the way down. And I hit it in practice just randomly. I went through it, and I had bites down the whole entire thing on chatterbait. So the population was there. When I'm grass fishing, the one thing I think about, if you have population, there's big fish always in the mix. So it totally makes sense to me why Bill Lowen called all them fish where he caught them at, because I think all them grass fish in the best grass line went right to the bank with the higher water and somewhat of a smaller eddy right there. So all that made total sense. Go ahead.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense in hindsight. You know, you look at that, you're like, that's where they went, you know?
Yep. Well, when I took off day one, I have to go by that Kroger Island to go to where I went to. I literally came off a pad and I stopped on that grass line, and the water was so dirty just off of the island that I never threw a cast. I just put it back to the floor and I just kept on going down to Indian. So I got down to Indian, and I saw that water, and then from there I kind of knew. I was like, this is just too dirty. There comes a point to where it's just too bad in my opinion. So I started running a bunch of different stuff. I finally found a pocket that had the visibility of that, you know, a foot to a foot and a half just off the main river. And I was like, well, maybe this will work. So as I'm going back into the pocket, I start fishing. I'm just on the trolling motor. I look at my graph on Lake Master. In the very, very back of the pocket, it was kind of the same deal where like the fish were working towards your back, but it's really rare to see what I saw. So on the map, if you picture in your mind like a backwards Y, like the tip of a Y, all the way in the back, a lot of these pockets were kind of featureless. They're just a round back pocket. Well, this one had a big tip in it as far as all the way in the back. So I literally went back there. I got back there. I threw a bomb cast before I even got to it. The trap hit the water. I turned the handle on a 3.5 pounder 80, and I pulled in the boot. I'm like, wow, okay, it's a start. I go back there and I set up on it. I look at my 360. There's a ton of bass sitting on it. I could see them all just sitting there. So
wow.
I threw another 7 or 8 casts in a row. I caught that 15-15, and I left it. And I said, okay, I'm not going to burn. I can still see more down there. I'll come back to this day 2. So I ended up fishing around a lot of different stuff, but that was the only area day 1 where I got bit. So day 2, I'm like, well, I know where I'm going. I'm going to go right back down there again. It's the same conditions, basically. The water stabilized, the wind still blowing in their same direction. They should be there. So I blazed down there, 35-mile run. I blazed down there first thing in the morning. I get there. There's a guy fishing a club tournament sitting right on it. So I go in, I trolling motor in, and the guy turns around and laughs, and he goes, man, they were biting so good, but I think we caught them all. That's exactly what he said to me. And it was like, I'm running down to the spot, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no way somebody none of our competitors found it. They weren't there day 1. I'm thinking, I literally think in my head, I got it to myself. I know I did. And it's so foggy, I pull in there and I see this guy sitting there, and that's what he says to me. And every fish they caught, they put back in the box. They're fishing a club tournament. So, and it was 2 people in the boat, and they both caught them. So I asked him, I said, well, do you mind if I come in and fish it? He says, oh, no, come on in. And as I say that, they're still casting at it. And I'm like, geez Louise, guys. So I ended up going in there, and I tell them, I said, just where you're sitting at is the line I want to cast on. Would you guys mind moving out a little bit? They're like, yeah, no problem. So I'm looking on my 360. I don't see anything down there. I do end up catching 1 fish off of it. So that's all I can get off of it. So the night before, that night after the first day, I literally looked on my map and I tried to pull up areas that I thought were just like it. And I found a few that I thought were like it, but they were all far apart. Nothing was close. So I ended up leaving day 2 with that 1 fish. I ran all the other ones that I marked, and then I had 1 more that was back towards takeoff. And this just sounds absolutely crazy, but I go to that spot. It's like 2 o'clock or something like that, or late in the day. I got a couple of fish. I caught a couple of fish here and there running around. But I set up on this one spot. This one was very current oriented. It was definitely different than the other one, but it had the same layout. I pull up on it. It was every single cast until I had to leave on a rattle trap. It was just unbelievable. I ended up weighing 15, 2 or 3 day 2. So day 3, obviously, where I'm going to try to get a start at. Now I'm thinking there's probably going to be somebody there. So I pull up on it day 3.
But it's Monday now. Monday, right? The locals might not be there.
Yeah, so it's Monday. But day 2, I only fished it with a rattle trap. I can see the fish in the 360 down there, but I didn't really know what was there until I really got into it on day 3. So day 3, I pull up on it. I'm in the second place. So they hold you back for 25 minutes until you launch it. So I'm thinking to myself, There could be somebody on it. Maybe one of our competitors is on it. What am I going to do next? I don't know. So I run down there. I pull in. Nobody is there at all.
Sweet.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't have a marshal day 3. So I pull in there, and there probably wasn't 10 minutes from when I put my trolling motor in the water until I pulled it up that I did not catch a fish. It was just absolute mayhem. In the morning, I bet you I went 10 or 12 or 12 on cast from the very beginning.
Oh, wow.
So what it was, after throwing the trap in the morning, I threw in the trap, and I started
What kind
to
of
wear
trap,
them out.
Greg?
So I was throwing a half ounce, but day 3 of the event, the current got a lot stronger than day 2. Day 2, I started throwing a half ounce red eye, chartreuse sexy. Day 3, when I went in there, I noticed the current was a lot stronger, so I went to a 3/4 ounce chartreuse sexy.
Nice.
And yeah, so after I felt like this is, I don't know, 25, 30 fish in, I felt like they started to get acclimated to the rattle trap. And I could still see them down there in the 360. So that's when I picked up the Carolina rig. So when I picked up the Carolina rig, I threw it out to this point, and I started dragging to the sweet spot where they were. It was a giant shell bed that was sitting there. The current sweep was hitting into the top of it and like making an eddy on the shell bed. It couldn't have lined up any better as far as the spot possibly could be. I mean, it was perfect. Like if you're anywhere, Kentucky Lake, Tennessee River, it is just like classical what you're looking for. So I don't know how many fish I caught. I mean, easily 50 plus. Carolina rigging. One thing that kind of included me into the actual bait that I was using was the second day. So this spot on top is 3 feet on top, 5 feet on the bottom on top of the shell bed. It's in the very beginning of a area. It's a staging spot to go back into a spawning bay. I'm telling you, it's perfect. So day 2, throw a trap up there right before I'm getting ready to leave. I hook a giant, I catch a 5-pound smallmouth on this spot. So, and this is another weird story. As I get the smallie in the boat, I can't get the trap out of its mouth again. I'm like, geez Louise, what's going on? I know this sounds crazy. There was another crawfish down its throat, and the trap was hooked to the crawfish.
Again,
two tournaments in a row this has happened to me. So the crayfish, I noticed the crayfish was absolutely huge. It was like a lobster, and it was bright red. And so when I rigged my Carolina rig up, I put a magnum-sized speed crawl on it with an oversized hook just to match exactly what I was doing. Green pumpkin, dyed the tails. The water was still kind of dirty, and it was just magical. It was one of my best Carolina rig fishing days of my entire life.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
Dude, I throw that Carolina rig out there, hits the bottom, and they would almost jerk the rod out of my hand before it even set the hook. It was stupid. You want to talk about a fun last day? You have 19-12. I threw back, I don't know how many 15-pound limits. It was just retarded. It was unreal.
Wow,
man,
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
So shout out to Lake Master.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
Lake Master and 360 played a huge role in this tournament.
For sure.
Giant role.
Not only for the winner, but for you too. So you were using you said the Magnum speed crawl?
Yeah, I don't know if it's newer to the market. I ended up getting them this winter. I saw
it is.
Is it okay? So I got them this year. I mean, they're you got to throw a 4-aught on them. That's how much bigger they are. Typically, I throw like a 2 or a 3 on the ultrafine speed crawl. But the profile was giant. It looked just like the same size as that crawfish in the smallmouth mouth that my bait was stuck to. So that was, matching the hatch. Now, one thing I can tell you guys about Carolina rig fishing, this is a really good tip. I learned this years ago just by, trial and error. Like a drop shot, a Carolina rig, the length is just as important. Now, there's 2 times where I can tell you where Carolina rig really plays a difference. Number 1 with no current, number 2 with current, and the leader length is super important. So I only made my leader length because I was literally in a ton of current. I mean, it was crashing into this thing. So my leader length was only 1 foot. I made it super short with 1.25 ounces weight to keep it there. And the reason for that being is I can see them on the 360 sitting on the shell bar, but there was hardly any space in between the bass or the actual bottom. They were sitting right on it, dead on the bottom. So I wanted my bait when I presented it to them to be right in their face. If I would have had a longer leader length, I feel like it would have just been too high and floating past them. So years ago on Champlain, I had a co-angler in my boat, and he asked me what we're fishing. And I said, we're fishing Carolina rigs today. This is the night before he rigged up. Well, he rigged up this Carolina rig the day before. He never fished one. And he had a 5-foot leader on it. I mean, it was crazy far, and he couldn't even like cast it right. Well, about 3 hours into that derby on Champlain, he had me like double in weight. And it's because we were fishing. There was no current that day, no wind that day. And his bait was able to just stay in the water column a lot higher than my 2 or 2.5 foot Carolina rig. So I learned way back then that it's just as important as the drop shot leader length. Because so if you have no current, no wind, you want a long leader. If you have a lot of current, you want a very short leader to put in front of their face. If that makes sense. If there's no wind or no wind or no current, a lot of times the smallmouth will almost, pick up and suspend time sometimes. So having that longer length where it can just hover coming down was kind of the same deal as, why I learned it way back when.
That's interesting. Now, you opted for the Carolina rig, possibly a heavy football jig or something else might have played in that situation. But what made you elect the Carolina rig?
The number one thing, honestly, for Carolina rig, easily, I'm going to say it's hookup ratio. When they bite the Carolina rig, I can almost tell you it's easily 99% you're coming in the boat. Football jig, a lot of times, I feel like a football jig's a really fine line of hooking them properly, especially in a lot of current. So I know when they bite that Carolina rig, they are sucking that thing in completely. There's nothing but plastic. It's easily to get through. A football jig's bigger, bulkier, and just angles sometimes all that current can be a problem.
Yeah.
All through experience.
All right. Go to components for me, Greg. What I want to know exactly, because you are like the king of the Carolina rig, and I love a Carolina rig.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
want to know
they
weight,
want to see
swivel,
a seminar from
bead.
Greg on that.
Yeah, weight, swivel, bead, clacker, no clacker, all that stuff. Tell me the hook, all of it. Bring it.
Yeah, so there's definitely key components to a Carolina rig like anything else. In the beginning, when I started Carolina rigging, I did just traditional brass. I don't do that anymore. I do all tungsten for weight wise. I set my weight accordingly. I was throwing 1.25 ounces in this tournament because of the current. So you offset typically at 3/4 where you start to go up from there.
Barrel style?
Bottom as far as the weight?
A flipping weight or a barrel style tungsten?
I usually use a flipping weight. That's usually what I use.
Cool.
Just a tungsten flipping weight. You burn the paint off in 2 seconds. That doesn't matter. I mean, almost all my flipping weights, that big Carolina weights, are all silver. They've all been burned off. It happens within seconds. I don't care what company you use. I use them all. You just got to make sure that when you're buying your flipping weight, it has, the semi a little bit smaller hole running through it because your bobber stop. You don't want your bobber stop to get stuck inside of it. That was always an issue with brass. Brass always had a giant polished hole, and a lot of times the bobber stop would get stuck inside the brass weight. It just wasn't good. So look for that, because some flipping weights do have a bigger hole, and it causes issues long term. For me,
gotcha.
Besides that, I'm going to give you guys one little tip, and this really plays for smallmouth with a Carolina rig. I always throw an oversized swivel, and the reason for that, a Spro is the one that I always throw. If you take the Spro swivel, like the square one, I don't know the actual name of it, and you shake it, that Spro swivel actually sounds like a clacker. It's that much louder. So when you're smallmouth fishing, I can tell you that's a giant tip I just gave away. For that,
you're using the 130-pound size?
Yeah, it's usually the giant one. It's I think it's about 120 actually, or something, 130 maybe. Yeah,
okay,
it says on the
cool.
package. It's something it's really big. It's overly big, looks stupid. But if you shake it like that, it almost sounds like a one knocker. It's how it sounds.
Wow.
Just a swivel.
Very cool.
Always add a bead. Bead color does matter sometimes. Whenever I'm smallmouth fishing, there's another good tip. I always throw black for smallmouth because I feel like the black on the bottom is more of a silhouette thing. They can't see it as good. I don't want the attention to be there. I just want them to hear that. The attention needs to be on the actual bait. Now with a largemouth, I feel like it's almost opposite. You want full attention because they don't have any attention span, it seems like. So either orange or red, like I said, always glass beads. As far as glass beads, I can tell you, I always buy quality. I don't know the company I get, but there's one company I always get from SFT. They have them, and it's like a more of a quality bead. They don't ever break on me as far as some of the ones that I have bought at Walmart 3 years ago. You just buy the quality bead, pay a little money for them, they don't break as good. So bead-wise, always one bead, usually never two. Red or orange for largemouth, black for smallmouth. So normally I always run high seas as far as the leader goes. 20-pound mainline, 100% fluorocarbon, usually down to a 15-pound. That's my staple. That's usually where I start at. Hook wise, this is probably the most important part. It's a Hayabusa hook. The hook that I use is the 114 HD. It's a heavy duty. It actually has a really big barb on it. That's why I like this hook the most. When I hook them, they don't come off. I have a hard time usually getting this hook out of their face. It's offset round bit. Usually a 2 or 3 aught for smaller baits. This time I was throwing the 4 aught, and it was a perfect match for that Magnum speed roll.
Excellent.
And
awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So, rod wise, typically it depends. If I'm in a lot of current and I'm actually physically dragging, I use a shorter rod. I'll use a 7'2" because I don't have a lot of line out there. If I'm on the St. Lawrence River and I'm doing close drags, the line from the boat's only about 20, 30 feet behind the boat. I'm going to use a shorter rod because I don't think you need the bigger rod as far as taking line because there's not a lot of line out there. For this one, I was throwing far cast. I threw a 7'5" Shimano Zodia's heavy because, throwing a far cast, you take all that line up, big difference, obviously, really fast reel. But another thing that's really important, I can tell you with Carolina rig fishing, I know, Pete, you've done a lot of it yourself. The retrieve is very important. You guys ever thrown a rattle trap out there and you're starting to get a lot of bites on it? You just know you have the right retrieve. I'm sure a lot of you guys have felt that.
Yeah.
So with a Carolina rig, when I get in the zone in a Carolina rig, I almost feel like I cannot be beat as far as catching the fish off the spot because I never, ever just cast it out there and reel the handle. I never do that. I always do a bump. I just bump the whole entire, I never stop it, ever. Bump, just keep it going right through their face. That's just the way I've always done it. Even when I'm dragging for smallmouth, I'm bumping it.
One knocker.
We bumping, yo.
Yep. Make all the
you got your one knocker.
What?
They were all smallmouth, Greg? Did you do no largemouth?
No. So that was just that one. I'm just talking about the St. Lawrence or something like that for smallmouth. But so day 2, when I caught all them fish, I caught largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, and a meadmouth. I caught everything off of this spot.
Holy
awesome.
Wow.
Yep.
That's when you know you've got a good spot. When everything that eats in the lake is using that spot.
I caught drum. I even caught shad off of this spot. They bit the trap. There's some weird looking shad in this place. I don't know. They look just like tarpon. I can't explain what they are.
It's a hickory shad.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I call hickory shad.
Hey, Greg, you said talking about the length of how far you got your Carolina rig. You said talking about the St. Lawrence behind the boat.
Yep.
What am I missing here? You dragging? You drifting dragging?
Drifting dragging, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So on the St. Lawrence, on a current situation, we've always talked about it where you have to, if you got a windy day on St. Lawrence or somewhere where you're in a lot of current, you're not spot locked, you're actually physically dragging with the boat.
Yep.
You got to set yourself up to drag the right speed every time. Now, when I'm spot locked like I was on this place, I have to make my drag look appealing. That's kind of the word I'm going to use, I guess. Look appealing to the fish. It's like anything else. You have to have the right cadence. I don't care what bait you're throwing. There's always a cadence. So the Carolina rig, man, I just feel like it's a forgotten art that's so darn powerful.
I agree.
And it works in a lot of scenarios. A Carolina rig in the grass, whew, it's deadly sometimes. You just got to do it right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I love it. Why are people hating on the Carolina rig all these years, man? It wins tournaments. I love that thing.
It catches them, man. Hey, let them hate. Let them hate much as they want. I'll
Seriously.
behind them.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. Well, it was great. It was a great dominant day on day 3, and that moved you right up the leaderboard. 2 checks in a row, man. That's got to, I don't know where you are in the standings, but that's got to put you in the classic realm right now.
Yeah, I'm right there right now. Yep.
Feeling good going into the next one. Where are you going to next?
Man, we're going to the Sabine River. So little toss up with the Sabine. So because they went back to the original date, they're actually going to give us 4 days of practice for the Sabine instead of 3, because a lot of guys changed their schedules because they moved the the Sabine till August, and then Texas lifted all their restrictions. So they said, okay, we're going to put it back on again in April. So that being said, it already had us in 28-day cutoff. So guys couldn't go out there and pre-practice. Well, a guy like myself, I've never been there. A lot of the guys in elites now are still new faces, have not been to a lot of these places. So the Sabine River is kind of more of a treacherous area, I guess you will.
For sure.
They use
yeah.
So that's why that's why they're giving us 4 days to kind of figure it out, because they know they kind of cut us off on pre-practice.
There's a lot of off limits water. At least a few years ago, I know there was some controversy. We actually on Ike Live, we had a couple of guys on and some guys fishing in what is it down there? Oil.
Yeah, so the reason that is, so that was all Louisiana, and that's the reason why Louisiana's off limits. So same now, it's only Texas only.
That's right. It was Louisiana's got those weird property rights laws.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's tidal. It's not tidal. Have you ever fished tidal off of the Gulf of Mexico before?
Off the Gulf? Never did.
Yeah.
There's not much of a tide swing on the Gulf, is there?
It's like a foot, or maybe even a little higher than that, but it's like a 12-hour tide cycle. It's unique.
So it's really prolonged. Yeah. So me personally, when it comes to places like that, or even the Upper Bay where, you have very small tides, being that it's this time of the year where it's probably going to be pre-spawn, spawn for the most part, I'm more looking for areas where I think they're going to spawn more than, where they're going to set up in the tide. So that should cut out, I think, a pretty good part of it, as long as they're that far along and they're ready to spawn. So that's kind of my thinking. Backwater areas, protected areas. I do know from watching, YouTube and the old Bassmasters when they were there, there's definitely a lot of dead water on that body of water. And I do know they had a few more hurricanes, I guess, came through last year or something. So a lot of it did get messed up again. So it's probably going to be a very tough derby as far as weights go.
Well, I've seen them down there in the Mississippi Delta. They get the hurricanes. Those marshes get blasted, and it's unbelievable. The fish come right back. It's like they've had those hurricanes been coming through there for 100,000 years. So you'll find
there
them
for every one of them.
Yeah, the first one.
When they invented hurricanes.
Yeah, right. He was sitting on my elevation for that one.
Yeah,
I talked to. Go ahead.
I was going to say I assisted in the development of the hurricane process.
Remember when you parted Remember when you parted the Red Sea?
Yeah, that was a lot of physics there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We figured it out.
Round of applause for parting the Red Sea, Pete.
Thank you. Sorry, GDP. I'm looking forward to you fishing down there. I think it suits you with the stinginess of the Delaware and the tidal influence. I think you might have a leg up down there in the Sabine.
Agreed.
It's weird. It's weird you say that. Like, I really thrive on tough tournaments because it just feels more like at home. It's just how it feels. Like, it's, when you get on a bank, catch 20 fish, like, okay, this is easy. But when it's like you really got to, knuckle down and really try to figure out what's going on, that's the kind of stuff that I do like. So this tournament, being that it was a really big toss-up, even though the fish bit for a lot of guys, they didn't get them. I mean, it was still tougher,
Yep.
Heck yeah! Did your title experience help you at Pickwick?
It did. So, the fish that I ran around before I found that magical spot at the end of the day, I ran around and, there was a lot of reed clumps on this body of water once you got up towards the ramp area. And then reed clumps, like, if you look down a straight bank that had a bunch of laydowns, yeah, that's great. But then reed clumps always stuck off the bank a little bit. There was such a big current break on these reed clumps. It was ridiculous how many fish probably could pile behind. If you got on the right reed clump, I bet you could have caught a big bag just off one reed clump. A few of them fish that I did catch running around came off the clumps, because if you look into a backwater section or even the main river, they were the most protected area as far as the current going past them, besides maybe an island that's sitting out in the middle of nowhere. But they were really good current breaks for sure.
How much water was on, Greg?
and every one was different. Some were shallow, some had 4 or 5 feet behind them.
Excellent. Well, GDP, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you pulling off. Wawa is not far away. You can do
I
it.
can smell it, PD. I'm telling you, I can smell it.
You can make it. Drive safe, and congratulations on another great derby. And we look forward to having you back in studio soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I think next Tuesday I'll be back in studio if you guys are going to run with it. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Good, buddy.
Outstanding. All right.
guys.
Travel safe. Congrats again. And
Thanks, Greg.
we'll catch up with you next week.
Yep. See you guys.
See you,
All
buddy.
right. Thanks,
Hey,
buddy.
Greg.
Be safe, man.
GDP.
That's right.
19 pounds strong.
Pounds, baby.
Pounds.
Mean mouth. Oh my God, that must have been a blast, man. You don't know what you're going to get. Large mouth, small mouth,
Medium
spot,
mouth. Yeah.
mean. Gosh almighty. Every cast, what a treat. That lake is on fire, because I'm telling you, I fished Pickwick when it wasn't. You know, when the fish population, boy, it seemed like I drove an hour and a half just to cast my line one tournament there, you know, trying to find a good population. But it seems like the grass has come to Pickwick. The population has really expanded, and that's really cool to see. Really, everybody's calling it. Everybody's saying it should be ranked in the number 1 in the nation, or certainly closer. I think it's number 11 or number 13 right now, somewhere around there. But pretty good lake. Hey man, we got that was great. What a great couple of interviews, man. Those guys exhausted and took the time to hang out with us. We appreciate that. And we've got some cool stuff. I know we want to go through a list. I have a list, and I know
got something right before that, Pete.
JK has a list, and BTC has something before our list. What do you got?
It's a list of one question. This is for a Gills Gear $25 gift card. What brand swivel does Greg De Palma only throw on his Carolina rig?
And I know I wrote that down. I wrote it down.
I know you did.
I'm like, I gotta have that.
I think Justin might have already won this.
Oh.
What?
No, I mean, I was just sharing with the guys when he was talking about it.
And we have a winner.
You know.
Bassmaster.
I shared it on the message board.
Hey, that's all right. You know, we throw these questions out there. Sometimes they don't got to be brain busters. It can be just a battle of the keyboard. Who can be the quickest to beat the keys up and get it? So the winner for that is Bassmaster 2K2. Congratulations. You just won yourself a $25 $25 Gills Gear gift card.
That's right.
Excellent.
It's a Spro, and it is 130 pounds is what he's throwing. They even have a bigger one, like a 200 something pound, and that's obnoxious. But I'm pretty sure he's throwing the 130 because he said 120, and then they go down from 130 down to an 80, which I've thrown the 80 before, but that's like it gets pretty tiny at that point.
Well, that was really cool, him saying that and giving that little tidbit up. Appreciate that.
Sure.
And I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Aquaview. And Aquaview is we're all so excited to be working with them, and everybody here on the broadcast just received a new Aquaview. In under the tree.
Oh.
And
Santa Pete.
So thank you for that. We're looking forward to everybody getting it out on the water. I want to see some images that everybody captures and how you're using it to help your fishing.
Yeah, I'm real excited to give that thing a look, man. I really am. I know Rich was talking about it earlier. You know, for me, I got some deep clear water places I'm going to be fishing this year that I really would like to take it to, and Rich has got some shallow, grassy places that he's going to give it a look. So see what it can do.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like. I'm anxious to see some of the places. I've spent some time working on my sonar down on the Chesapeake, and I can't figure out what species I'm dealing with.
There you go.
Down there. So this is going to be great for me to be able to check that out. Yep. And everybody's got the Aquaview HD7i.
All right.
Going to have to go back and listen to Gussie last time we had him on the show, and he went in on that camera a little bit. I'm gonna have to do some homework and get this thing dialed in.
Yeah, one of the things that stuck out to me that Gussie said is, if you have kids, that it's a source of entertainment. Even aside from fishing, and I could be that kid. It could be summertime and there's a nice breeze and the fish ain't biting. That's entertainment. I don't watch TV anymore. I'm going to sit there and look at fish. So,
I mean, I watch the Eagles and the Ospreys. I'm fascinated by that stuff.
Turtles.
So, yeah, I know I'll be dialed into what I'm seeing down there. And JK, look for yours to be coming in the mail real soon. So,
awesome. Pumped up, man.
We'll all get out there and give that a shot. And I also want to welcome Empire Covers to the Bass University live program. They make covers for everything outdoors, boat, RVs, your truck, your car, whatever you keep outside, they make a cover for it, an amazing cover. Check it out, Empire Covers. They're going to be working with us here at Bass University TV, and we really appreciate them and welcome them to the Bass University Club. We'll, I think we're going to be rolling out to some Empire Covers information at the end of the broadcast. So welcome to the Bass University. And that's the latest and greatest that's going on at Bass University. And what is that all you have, BTC? Are we going to move on to JK's list? What's next?
Yeah, right before that, before I forget, I don't know. I can't find the comment now on YouTube, but I think it was Night Fisher. Just give, at the very beginning of our broadcast tonight, he was giving the Bass U a shout out. Big fan of the Bass University, the only university you won't catch herpes at. So I just wanted to mention that and thank him for that. It's an important piece of information to have.
That is important information.
I mean, I think it's pretty factual too. So,
well, a lot of the universities are better in that regard now that everybody's taking classes from home.
Yeah, virtual piece.
Yep. Virtual herpes. Does that exist?
There it was.
Oh man, I live in a college town. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, me too.
I still see them. They're all flocking together, still playing beer pong at 11:30 a.m. So I don't know. I don't know if that's really true.
Yeah,
I can't imagine the discipline it must take to be able to pass your college courses without having to go to class. That must be tough, man. That's what kept me online a lot of times. You just force yourself, you go to class, you wrap your mind around it, and you can grind through, especially a tough course. But boy, just having to read the book and do it at home, them kids are going through some tough times right now. I wonder how the GPA is across the country. It must be suffering a little bit right now.
Yeah, even if the GPA isn't suffering because of curved grading, I think the knowledge isn't really there. There's
well, let me tell you guys how.
But anyhow,
it's crushed. We're crushing it at Bass University. At Bass University, we are delivering.
That's right.
We're delivering.
Yeah, let's dive into how you can get your 4.0 this week at the Bass University. So the professional fish ed top 5 has to do with Bass U TV seminars again. If you guys watched the tournament, the Pickwick tournament with all those crazy conditions and so many different techniques catching them, and we saw some extreme catching conditions that I thought were pretty unique. So that I figured what a great list with a lot of different, a lot of this they're not the same. So I pulled out seminars for you guys to watch that I think are the top 5 seminars on Bass U TV that you probably haven't watched. That would coincide with you learning about how these guys caught their fish this last week that we watched on Bassmaster this weekend and Monday and Tuesday. So with that, I will start with number 5, Scott Canterbury, an Alabama guy, his guide to fishing docks. So a dock seminar. We saw Corey Johnson and of course Bill Lowen move to the docks.
Did you see Corey's magic dock?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I did.
It was like, oh my God, he must have caught 20 fish out from under that magic dock. I
saw too.
Cool.
He said he had 5 of them. I thought he was fishing the same one the whole time, but he said he had 5 of them. I didn't know if he was just trying to say that to get people off the one or what, but I thought he was fishing the same dock.
I think most of the morning that was all the same dock.
Yeah.
That's
all. It was a loaded dock.
It was a good one.
But yeah, go watch Scott Canterbury's class. We've got 15 to 20 seminars on fishing docks. For that scenario, though, I think you'll get a lot out of Scott's class there. Coming in at number 4 for the time of year and the fact that the river was flowing and stuff, we've got pre-spawn river fishing from Alabama native Matt Herron, who is Bill Lowen's practice partner, and I believe Matt cut a check in this event. I can't say for sure. I know he didn't make the final day.
He impacted the winner greatly. He said he worked with Bill Lowen, and Bill knew that he was fishing bluff ends. Matt Herron was fishing bluff ends, which when Bill's water faltered, he went right there first to look for that pattern and then added the dock pattern in between. So Matt definitely impacted the outcome of this tournament. Shout out to Matt.
Wow.
Another great teacher. Gets rave reviews.
Oh yeah, he's a great teacher. Yeah, I see he showed up 7 ounces behind Greg, so he had a great event. Had 13-12 on day 1 and then 19 and 17 and a half pound bags. So he was dialed in for sure.
Great.
But you will hear a lot about how bass relate to current in the pre-spawn when they're thinking about spawning. And that's going to be the unique scenario that I think a lot of these fish were obviously in. I think Greg and Bill kind of talked about, the stage they were in. Watch that class. I think you'll get a lot out of it for what we saw. Number 3, our very own Dean, Pete Glusek's Adjusting to Conditions. That is a must-watch seminar, Pete, if I must say so. It is a must-watch if you are a Bass U TV subscriber. If you come through our program, you are doing yourself a disservice if you do not watch that seminar. That I remember when we talked about it. I remember, I can't remember the tournament, but you went through I think you may have had 2 tournaments that year that were just crazy conditions and changes and everything. And we finally said, man, we got to just do the seminar on it.
That was a great one. I used 20 years of tournament experience and the adjustments that will help, because that's the question we get all the time. What do I do in a cold front? What do I do when, the water drops or when it rises or, all those things. And I wrapped all that up in that seminar. So cool. I made a top 5.
Oh yeah. You made that list for sure. That's a great one to talk about. And number 2, especially if we're going to talk about the tail races, right? Watch Luke Duncan's on-water video, Tail Race Bass Fishing, filmed at the tail race that you saw this week in Pickwick.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to be a little bit more sneaky, if you're actually going to Pickwick, he's got 3 on-the-water seminars. And let's just say a lot of Luke Duncan's pets were caught this week. A lot of them. In fact, I kept seeing a lot of top 10 guys on stretches of bank that I became very, very familiar with on that film shoot. So Luke was texting me during the tournament. Of course he couldn't stop watching, but of course he was kind of bummed because a lot of his favorite stretches were just
getting exposed.
Lights out and just absolutely getting exposed.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of secrets up there, but they definitely showed us how to fish them and stuff. And Luke does too, but the tail race bass fishing, if you're new to it, it's something that requires a lot of safety. It's intimidating, as it should be. A lot of fast water. You can get in a pickle really fast doing the tail race stuff. And that's why we wanted to have the class in the seminar. Luke's grown up doing that. And he was a great teacher at it. So watch Luke Duncan's Tail Race Bass Fishing. And then at number 1, I love it when a guy wins after having him teach the seminar. We've had this seminar for 4 or 5 years. I think this might have been a 2017 seminar. I might be wrong on that. I'm probably a year off if I'm wrong. But Bill Lowen, catching bass in current. He's going to talk to you about fishing a jig. He's probably going to talk about fishing a 3/8 ounce jig or a lighter jig and letting it flow with the current. Basically, the win, how Bill Lowen just won, catching these bass relating to the strong current, the adjustments he made, you're going to pull a lot of these winning lessons out in that seminar right there. In my opinion, he already gave the seminar, and it was really cool to run that back, watch him win doing it. And I think that's my favorite part of my job, man. When we get to hit a home run like that, even if the home run comes 4 years later, I absolutely love watching the instructor be the expert and then go beat everybody. And hey, guess what? All of his competitors, it was right there on Bass U TV, man. It was right there.
Hey, you know what that made me
All
think
you had
of,
to do.
Pete? Talking about the lighter weight jig and letting the current move it. As Justin just said it again, it dawned on me. When the elites fished the Delaware, Shaw Grigsby talked about doing something that we had figured out, didn't really know why, but I guess he made an adjustment from day 1 to day 2 where he unpegged his soft plastic.
I remember that.
And it made all the difference in the world. Like day 1, he was either missing all his bites or whatever the deal was, but he talked about making that adjustment. And of course, the Delaware's got a ridiculous current. And unpegging the soft plastic, and that was something that me and my Brodzik Dave used to. That was my buddy tournament guy, and he kind of dialed into that, just unpegging it, whether it was a 4-inch worm or a creature bait or whatever the deal. But yeah, I think it kind of relates, letting it flow a little more natural in the current.
Right. Well, that very well may, and it was interesting because Greg valued the importance of flow and the Carolina rig and getting that in the fish's space in a similar way. I know when I fish in the current, which I do every day, I go fishing just about, that's so important. And I use the current to drift the baits to get them to where I want to go. And, there's definitely times when, that lighter weight is key. Other times when the current's ripping, you got to step it up. But it's interesting stuff that Bill talks about with drifting that bait. I'm going to have to go re-listen to that seminar,
Yeah, there's a lot more stuff in there, just how to find fish in current throughout the seasons, where to look, when are bass trying to get right in the middle of it, when are they trying to get way away from it? It's a great seminar. Yep. Definitely worth the watch.
Good list. Thank you, JK, professional fish head at Bass University. I have a top 10 list on jigs. Are you guys ready? What is the number 1 selling tackle warehouse jig? BTC, go first.
Well,
flipping jig, football jig, or is this specific?
This is not that specific. Jig.
Okay.
This is a jig, and everything on this list is a rubber, is like a silicone or rubber jig, not like a hair jig.
Yeah,
or
got you.
Like that.
Bitsy Bug.
Bitsy Bug. Not number 1. Not number 1. Not on the top 10 list.
A Boss jig.
Boss jig is who makes Boss jig?
Boss. It's Boss.
It's
just the head.
Yeah,
Boss.
It's the ones that people are tying up. Hey, can I ask? Do bladed jigs count?
No, not on this list.
Okay, good. Because it would have totally been a chatterbait, jackhammer. But
ooh,
mini flip.
Getting warmer.
Hack attack.
Give you the clue. It's probably the jig that I have thrown the most of in the last 5 years. Or more.
It's high tech.
Yeah.
They went obvious, man. That was in my mind, but I'm like, nah, that just can't be. Way too easy.
Yeah. It's the
Hey, I'm not gonna say where.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Wait a second. It's not the one that I throw. It's the Model 2 football jig.
Oh,
whoa!
Is their number one selling jig?
Oh, that's a lot of people
Whoa.
buying the wrong jig.
Crazy.
Wow.
We got Bass Patrol number 10.
That's because of that weak weed guard. They break so many off. They got to buy so many. Right? I mean that football hangs up.
It does.
A lot.
But it also sticks them and they never get off.
I don't know about that.
It's a really sticky jig. The number 10 is the Patrol round rubber football jig. DNL comes in tackle baby. Advantage casting at number 9. Dirty jigs. No jack swim jig. Number 7 is Dirty Jigs Tour Level skirted football. Dirty Jigs at number 6, California Swim Jig. Dirty Jigs Swim Jig number 5. Dirty Jigs Luke Clausen Finesse Jig number 4. 6 Cents Swim Jig number 3. Dirty Jigs Tour Level Pitching Jig is number 2. And the Kitech football jig. That's crazy that comes in at number 1. What's the number 1 jig trailer? Talk to me. Who's got a guess?
The Zoom Super Chunk or the Big Salty?
Super Chunk comes in at number 3.
Good
3.
Guess. Rage Crawl? Are they gonna count crawls?
Baby Menace Crawl?
Menace is, you didn't get it exactly right. It's the Rage Twin Tail Menace Grub number 1. The Pack-a-Chunk number 2.
Yeah, the Pack-a-Chunk.
Wow. The Yamamoto Double Tail Grub number 4.
Yeah, I do a lot of the Zoom Fat Albert. That was my main jig trailer forever.
I know.
The Twin Tail?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tail,
Nice.
That's what Mike won Champlain on. His first major win came on that one you're talking about.
Wow.
Cool. Strike King Rage Tail Chunk 5. Strike King Rage Twin Baby Menace 6.
We had somebody get this one right on the board before we got it right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think we're gonna throw him a Gills card. Michael,
get him something.
Michael Heggie got it right with the menace with the menace bait before I even started to throw it out there. So he just won himself a $25 Gills Gear gift card.
The menace.
Nice.
Number 10 is the Zoom Fat Albert Twin Tail. Number 10.
Nice. There it is.
I have vibrating jigs. I think we already did this list, but I have it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of trailers, while we're still on trailers, what's the one thing that John Cox's win and Bill Lowen's win and my BFL win, just throw myself in there, selfish plug.
Come
on. What do they all have in common?
Wins.
No forward-facing sonar.
Yep.
That is all true, but I was looking for the chunk was actually the jig trailer. Now, I weighed in 2 on a jig, but I caught a lot of fish on a jig that day. John Cox is using the same jig trailer as Bill Lowen, and it's the one I've grown fond of.
Maxent.
And Bill wouldn't talk about it because he's not sponsored by them.
Oh, he did talk about it. He said it was a run-of-the-mill average jig chunk.
Yeah, and it's a meaty chunk. That thing is the deal. And if you don't throw it this year, you're missing out. That's all I'm going to say.
That is a big chunk too.
Juice. That's free juice right there, guys.
It did have the characteristic little bumps on it, just like the old pork chunks used to
just
have.
Like what you get at other universities.
Bumps.
We won't talk about it.
I don't know what it is.
Different
man,
kinds
that
of
thing's
bumps,
awesome.
I think.
That thing's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting that John throws it on the swim jig. It doesn't really, it doesn't have curlies or anything or a kick and tail, but I guess those two.
Do you remember? I remember vividly him explaining why, Riz, and showing and demonstrating to us how when he moves that at a very, very high pace, it vibrates. The tails quiver and they vibrate like a tight wiggle of a shad or something like that. It just
they eat it too.
It does it when
It
you move it
creates
at a high rate of speed. Yeah, he because I thought
insane
same thing
strikes
as
on
you.
that.
It's not doesn't have that easy swimming thumping action. There's nothing like that, but boy, that's the one that he uses.
Yeah,
It's
and he
interesting.
throws a half ounce, so he has to keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's something unique that John does with the swim jig is he throws a half ounce almost all the time. Like a lot of swim jig guys are either 5/16 or 3/8, sometimes even quarter. You know, but he's half ounce, dude.
Yep.
That's to keep it down, I guess, when he's moving so
Keep
fast.
him down,
Interesting
Daddy.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. BTC, we got anything left on our agenda
Oh,
tonight?
we got a trivia question.
Okay.
Give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail to cue that up.
We'll give you 2 or 3, whatever
2
you need.
shakes of a lamb's tail.
This is let me mutilate the
Pulp
microphones
Fiction.
here and talk to Richard. You guys fill the air for a second.
All right, we got it. Some things that I noticed. Okay, the Brian Schmidt swinging that fish in. He penalized himself. He's like, kids at home, don't do like I just did, you know. And to swing or not to swing, man, that is a tough question. You know, when you're fishing a jig and you've got that fish coming, but you know, once you start getting up in that 6 pound range, it gets well, you have to make that decision, you know.
Yeah, Pete, you're coming back. You're fishing a lot more tournaments this year. You know, I just prefer all these young kids. They keep trying to boat flip everything. You guys go right ahead. Do it for the GoPro. Do it for the gram and do it for the GoPro, man. Keep boat flipping everything.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough one, man. If you don't have a net there, you have to weigh that, because I can tell you this, when my heart was in my throat when Bill went down to hand land that 8 pounder on the flipping stick. It's very difficult with a powerful rod to keep good pressure on. You know, it doesn't have that flex. It doesn't have that bend to be able to absorb the line when the fish comes to you. And man, I was watching that. I was cringing like, oh my God, if he loses his fish, the whole world's going to cry, you know?
Yeah.
But you know,
you're right.
So if you got a fish coming, gosh almighty, you don't want to stop and wait for the net. You don't, you know, but at the same time, we watched Oliver Nye swing a 9 pounder in the boat down in Florida.
That hit at the boat.
At the boat. That's excessive. You know, you're not going to get away with that one very often.
Yeah, that was kung fu level stuff there, man. That was Jedi stuff.
He's done it 1,000 times though.
Yeah,
you know, like that's just the way he lands them.
That's a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
In his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm not that guy. I'll net and get down for them all, man.
From the mind of Ken Duke. 2 anglers in BASS history have won $1 million before they've won a tournament. Peter, don't answer this. Who are they? And that is our grand prize, Rich.
Yep. That's for $100 worth of Bass University gear, including one of these awesome sweatshirts.
That's right. That's Rich's. He's sweated in it, and you can have it.
Ooh.
No, we'll get you a new one.
Well, I think the first one is obvious, right?
Hey,
I know.
It's got to be obvious. It's
Yeah.
got to be.
Can we guess this?
We got a winner.
Can we guess this? All right. Can we go ahead and guess this then?
Yeah, because we have a winner. So
all right, we got a winner.
Theoretically, Dan. Congratulations.
Go ahead, guys.
All right.
What'd you guess?
I'm gonna Bill Lowen and Gerald Swindle.
Bing.
Yep.
That quick. Well
Pete,
done,
what'd you
JK.
have?
I was gonna guess Matt Herron and Bill Lowen, but Bill, has Matt won?
I think Matt's won. Well, I mean,
No, he won a Toyota.
It was $1 million before winning an event.
He just won $1 million. He just passed $1 million at this tournament.
Who?
Did
Matt
Herron?
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bass.
Yeah, Matt hasn't won a blue trophy yet. He won the Toyota Texas Bass Classic before Bassmaster had that event. That was when the FLW and the Bassmaster and all those guys. He won a big event. That was his big win for that one. But yeah, Gerald and Bill were always 2 of the big names in the conversation. Who's the best of all time to not win a blue trophy?
Ken's correcting me. 4 guys have won $1 million before winning a tournament.
Oh,
I know, Ken. I said two guys won $1 million and then won a tournament. I don't know, something like that. But Ken, you might want to check your math. Is it 5 after this weekend's event?
Ooh.
Oh. He's probably right, but we'll challenge him. Attempt to
get him fired up.
He's going to get
Take shots at him now that he's not on the show with us. Come on, Ken. Yeah.
No, we can only take shots at him if he's on the show.
And there's 2 that still have not won that have an event and have won over $1 million. But I was kind of saving that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Did we give one away?
Maybe. Sounds like it.
Something to save for another time. I don't know.
Yeah. No. All right. Well,
Ken's
great question.
got an
Thank
endless
you.
Supply of knowledge up there. I'm
Yeah,
very limited. I got to grab my pieces and stretch them out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Duke,
Yes.
for lending your trivia question.
The message board has corrected me that it's actually not the fastest fingers necessarily for who wins some of these prizes. It's the best internet service at their homes.
Yes.
So, guys, you want these prizes, you better get that Xfinity broadband that maybe
Who said that? New York
sometimes.
I feel like it must be like the Jeopardy guys when they're like trying to click that button when the other guy already pushed it.
Well, the guys that don't have good connection are the guys that live on lakes, and they've got the benefit of living on a lake, so they can take that. And this is the yin to the yang.
Price you pay.
It's the price you pay for paradise.
Right. Excellent. Well, speaking of the guys that sacrificed a little bit for us tonight, I want to appreciate that.
Yeah.
Bill Lowen stopping and talking to us before his celebratory chicken fingers dinner tonight. And GDP doing the marathon shift on behind the wheel, pulling over. Gosh, that's hard to do when you're getting so close to home. So I appreciate him for that very much. And what a great show it turned out to be, BTC.
Yes, indeed it did, man. Threw it together last second. We left things open to try and grab the winner because this event was so intriguing. I mean, I don't know. I was glued to it. Killed my productivity at work, but it was just an awesome event. And who's not happy Bill Lowen won? So.
Yeah, well, I also want to shout
Probably
out. There's
who came in second.
Besides that guy. But yeah, shout out to Brock Mosley, man.
Yeah.
Brock.
He had a hell of an event. Heck of a
22-pound bag of smallmouth cranking bluffs. Oh my, big smallmouth. What an amazing deal that was. And I also want to give a shout out to the Major League Fishing guys that are fishing down at Rayburn right now. And Mark Davis doing well, and Ott Defoe leading the pack in his group down there. Dustin Cannell almost, Ott, came from behind and got him, doing a lot of different things down there in another one of the greatest fisheries of all time. Dustin Cannell punched a 9-pounder today over there in Rayburn. Giant fish. He found an area of just cast after cast. They were just lighting it up, man.
How about it?
He's a lot of fun. I like watching him fish, man. He gets fired up. It brings a lot of energy. He's fun to watch.
Yeah. I saw Shaw Grigsby's Facebook Live this morning before the event. And while he was live, some guy was knocking on his window and thought he was Denny Brower. I'm like, dude, do you not read the truck? He's sitting in his truck waiting to launch his boat, and he does a little Facebook Live. And some guy from
Denny, you should have signed the Denny Brower autograph.
The mustache. I thought that was Denny's mustache. Buddy, that's Shaw Grigsby.
That's the greatest.
Yeah, he didn't even say, "Oh, hi, Shaw." He's like, "Oh, I thought you were Denny. All right, take care." Like the guy woke up from a cryogenic sleep chamber or something 20 years ago.
Speaking of Denny, I thought we couldn't get Denny on the show tonight. BTC, come on, man.
I got Bill Lowen at 7:05.
Yeah, you did. Bravo to our producer, BTC.
And
that was a home run.
Yeah, no, that was a triple. It would have been a grand slam had Denny been on the program.
I took my home run and I trotted around, and I'll take it.
Yeah, try.
I'm good with that.
Bat flip that one, BTC.
That's right.
Bat flip that one.
We're good.
That was good, and I appreciate that. Appreciate everybody, and man, what a great show! We're going to be back next Tuesday with a very cool show.
Yes.
Still got to give away another prize here.
Did we? Oh,
Yep.
Facebook.
Yep.
All right, you ready for that?
Yeah.
Facebook,
Congratulations,
like, and share.
Justin Willis. You won tonight's Bash University Facebook like and share from Flambeau. Fill your boat. We're going to be hooking you up with a bunch of tackle boxes, some quotients, some standard deep tackle boxes headed your way. Flambeau, fill the boat.
Excellent. Thank you for
Alex.
watching us over on Facebook and YouTube, guys. Wherever you're picking up Bash University Live. Appreciate you hanging out with us. And next Tuesday night, we have Miles Burkhoff.
No.
We're going to be talking sonar. No. Did I mess that date up?
Yeah, that one's out in April, Pete. Next Tuesday, we have Terry Scroggins.
Yes.
Yes. Terry
Yes.
Scroggins. And,
Miles, we'll see
that's going
we'll
to
see
be
you in a month.
I'm super excited for that one. Terry's a bait tinkerer. You know, Ike talks about it all the time. The modifications this guy does, next level modifications. Pours his own plastics, his own lead, his own jigs, all the above, and does a lot of modifications to things. And he's going to be, joining us from his laboratory. So
awesome.
A lot of
We're
sneaky
going to
stuff.
have Mike in studio with us for that show.
That is correct.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
All right.
And
We
Miles is
got
out
Ike.
in April 6th. And that's going to be a big one, dude. That's going to be he's a lot of electronics conversation there. So
Electronics are on everybody's tongue right
yep.
now, everybody's interest level. So we're going to be having him. I can't wait to get Terry Scroggins in here. Mike, let those two geek out on bait modifications. It was the first time I heard about putting vegetable oil in a crankbait to silence it. Came from Terry Scroggins. So I hope
to
we'll
silence
be able
it or
to neutral or to decrease the buoyancy, to silence. I don't know. Why is he doing that? Let's find out.
Tune in next week.
Tune in next
Tune
week.
in next week.
I don't know.
Yes.
Tune in next week.
Yep.
It gets even juicier next week.
Oh yeah.
All right. JK, thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
We'll see you at the office tomorrow. And
that's right.
BTC, Riz, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing everybody back here next Tuesday night at 7:00 with another episode of Bash U Live. I'm
That's
Pete
right.
Gluzak. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
You take pride in your boat, so it deserves the best protection possible. Our durable woven fabric prevents ripping and provides UV protection, and our tape seams provide protection against the elements. The heavy-duty shock cord hem and strap and buckle system provide a tight and secure fit. Our top-of-the-line boat covers come with a ventilation system to keep your boat free from mold buildup. Empire Covers.